Hi there, and welcome to our webinar today. We're going to have a good look at top tips for using formative and summative assessment in phonics. I'm just going to wait for a few minutes while more people join us. So today we'll go through how we use formative and summative assessment in phonics, as well as in Phonics Shed. And Phonics Shed, if you haven't heard of it already, is available for you to get a free trial out on the website if you would wish to, which will end after 30 days. And it's a narrative-driven, multi-sensory SSP scheme. So this is what we'll be going through, just a quick look and refresh about the difference between formative and summative assessment, and then what they look like in Phonics Shed, our assessment weeks, the phonics screening check, and I'll give you a quick look at the Teacher Hub as well. So what's the difference between formative and summative assessment? So formative assessment is a process of evaluating the student's knowledge as they learn. So this might be through asking questions and being flexible based on their responses. Summative assessment is a more formal type of assessment, such as end of block tests or assessment, or something like the screening check, where we just check in with the children, sit with them, maybe assess their GPCs that they know and any gaps. Now, close and regular assessment of children as they learn to read is vital if teaching is to match their capacity to learn and if difficulties are to be identified when they first arise and overcome. So we need to make sure that we use both of these different types of assessment to assess gaps and if any consolidation and intervention is needed for these children as soon as possible. Now, formative assessment. Now, this is the flexible day-to-day assessment that we might just get from lessons. So a lot of this is observation-led, and we do this day-to-day as teachers anyway. They might be assessing children's responses to tasks and questions, assessing their input and instigating peer discussions and completing a review of work covered during the plenary. And then we also have planning prompts as well. So, for example, recapping grapheme phoning correspondences taught, particularly at parts of the plenary. And each lesson plan has an assessment section to remind the adult of the focus of the formative assessment. You might want to jot down notes and annotate your plans with any observations that you've seen, or maybe if you use a different type of way to record observations within lessons within your school, such as tapestry, you might want to record them on there. Anything that will inform that child's next step of learning. Now, once teachers are expert in teaching the school's chosen phonics programme, they can then pay attention to children's misconceptions and adjust teaching minute by minute through the lesson, reviewing a GPC, repeating a step to support blending, directing attention to a child who has lost focus. And this is formative assessment. So there are lots and lots of things that we do anyway as teachers that we might not even necessarily notice, whether we're checking a child's understanding who hasn't got it, or if they're not sure of a GPC, doing the action to remind them, and all of those little adjustments that we constantly do to make sure that children get the support that they need to move forward. Now, by assessing children formatively, you'll have evidence to guide your decisions on more immediate changes. And these might be things such as same-day interventions. And within Phonics Shed, we have short 10-minute intervention plans, which are designed for either one-to-one or a very small group of children that you can hopefully fit in on the same day if you have a member of staff available. Or we also have consolidation plans for each GPC, which if you have a large group of children that need to revisit that, or maybe it's even the whole class, you're then not repeating the same lesson. So within Phonics Shed, for each GPC, we have technically 3 lesson plans: a daily phonics lesson, a consolidation plan, and an intervention plan for that GPC. Now, if you're not sure what the children need, whether it's consolidation or intervention strategy, we've designed this flowchart to help you. Now, I haven't mentioned anything about assessment weeks yet. I will go on to that in a moment. Throughout our scheme, we have factored in and designed into the long-term plan assessment weeks so that you know that you've got regular assessment weeks, which is a summative form of assessment that's scheduled for you to have that time to sit down with the children in your class and see where the gaps lie. And that can then inform whether you use consolidation or intervention plans. So I'll leave this up here for the moment. It's also on our Phonics Shed site in the resources section, if you take out a free trial. So summative assessment then. This is leading on from assessment weeks, and this would be the type of assessment that you would do in those scheduled assessment weeks. So our online resources include adaptable digital flashcard tools, which you can see down here with the letter S, GPC, that allows you to mark the level of understanding of GPCs and high frequency words. It also includes, I know we've had it for this year, but thinking about next year, practice year 1 phonics screening check assessment game with real and alien words. And you can fully personalize the content, and it's just a really nice way to get children practicing for the screening check, as well as indicating a little bit on how they might get on. There's also the option to assess children on specific decodable word lists linked to the Spelling Shed scheme as well. So you will need to have teacher judgment here, and it can be overwritten. So if any of their scores change, for example, if first of all they don't get it and you've marked them down as not getting that GPC and they then change, you can overwrite it and write some notes as well. I'll show you this at the end. Now, here is just an example of a medium-term plan. This is the reception one. And in here, you can see the assessment weeks which are scheduled within this. We've also scheduled consolidation and intervention weeks following the assessment week, so you can really use those summative assessments to inform your next steps in teaching. And you can just see how I've ensured that we've got a lot of time and you're not busy trying to squeeze all your learning in, which can often happen in timetables. So that's just there for you to see how we use that in a medium-term plan. Now, within the phonics screening check, if you're getting ready for that next year, we have the phonics screening check simulator, which looks like this. It's a mix of alien words, which have the alien on there, and real words. And you as the teacher click the buttons to say whether the child next to you has read that correctly or not. In Phonics Shed is made up of 4 chapters. Within chapter 4, we have chapter 4A, 4B, and 4C. The pupils need to get to the end of chapter 4B before they do the phonics screening check. And then in the long-term plan, this demonstrates this, which you can see here. So this is how we have advised. Of course, you know the children best, and this might differ class to class, but this is how we've advised to cover all the content, as well as have more than enough time so that you can do your assessment and your consolidation and intervention. So this is how we advise that you cover everything. So you can see by the end of reception, children are at the end of chapter 3. And then before the phonics screening check, children have done chapter 4B. And within this, this also accounts for recap and consolidation and intervention weeks before the phonics screening check, which is obviously really important because we want to make sure that those children are ready. And then we continue to chapter 4C, which doesn't have our scheme. If you wanted to purchase it as a whole scheme, has decodable reading books that go with it. Chapter 4C does not have any decodable reading books that go with it. They are alternative spellings for certain GPCs. So it's a really nice recap and look at those as children go into year 2. Now we have a different data assessment and tracking. We have the tracking grid, which you can see here, which is based on the GPC assessment that I mentioned earlier, and the flashcard tool, which has got GPCs, high frequency words, and the phonics screening check simulation. If you assign children games to do, so you might assign them a game based on a specific GPC that they have learned that week, you can see how many times they've played it and the percentage they have got correct. And then you can also look a little bit deeper into that individual pupil and see their gameplay history. I'll just quickly show you the Teacher Hub now and go through any assignments and sort of the assessment sections that we mentioned today and the games. So this is what the Teacher Hub looks like within EdShed. With Phonics Shed, you also get free access to Spelling Shed, so that once those year 2s hit the 4C, they can also have access to all of the SPAG and all of the word lists on our online platform. So first of all, if we look at the Phonics Shed resources, here you can see the different chapters, and within each chapter, it gives you everything that is needed to teach that chapter. So it's further split down into sets. And then within each set, you've got the planning, the songs that go with the planning, the teaching books, which we use to introduce the characters as it's a narrative-based scheme. And then the characters then later pop up within the children's decodable reading books. We've also got all the intervention materials for this set and the different pronunciation guidance videos, which will also show you the actions as well. If I just show you one, so you can see, this is really good for any staff delivering the scheme.
This is the letter S. The character for this letter is Sam the snake. The capital letter is Sam's mum. The sound these letters make is S. The letter name is S. The sound is S. The action for these is
Some other of the really nice resources we've got is the digital flashcard tool. So you've got the option to buy the hard copies of everything as well if you wanted to, or you can just have a digital only subscription. You can assign the decodable reading books to pupils to access on their login digitally as well. So this is a really nice tool. So if I click advanced, you can literally go through the different chapters and sets and select the ones you want for your flashcards. And you can shuffle the order or put them in a certain order. And then you can see on the front, it's got the diagraph R. And if I flip it over, you can see it's got Archer the star, which is made up of Anna the ant and Rex the rat. And we've also got the letter formation rhymes down there. So you can flick through those, or if they haven't quite got it, you can click see it again and it will reshuffle it. And we have the same as this for the high frequency words too. Now, if we think about the assessment, if I go to groups, click in a group, then I go to phonics data. Here you can see one of those tracking grids. Now, if I wanted to assess a pupil, I'd click launch assessment session, and then I'd choose whether I wanted to assess the graphemes, a particular word list, high frequency words, or also do the screening check simulator. So if I wanted to do graphemes, I can choose the chapter from down here and then select a set. So you don't have to do them all at once, which is a bit more manageable. Select the child that is next to me who I am assessing, and then they need to read out the sound they see on the screen. So it'd be O. And you as a teacher mark how they've got, and that will then populate the table. If you then want to change it, you simply click on it and you can write comments if needed. So that's a really nice assessment tool. In terms of the data you get from the assignment, so in Phonics Shed, you can set 2 types of assignment, a game, so this one's sounding out with the grapheme ng, or also the ebook. So here I've assigned Wings Big Racket. So if I click on there, I can see who's read that book. And if I go back to the assignment section, oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. I can also see who's played the game and how many times. So there we go. She's played once on the second highest difficulty and has got all of them correct. I can also go into that pupil and see a little bit more. If I go to phonics data, I can see all of their tracking there. I can also see, if I click view, I can see what they've got correct in previous games as well. So if you would like to have a look or even have a go at playing some of the games, once you get out a free trial, they automatically end. So you do not need to worry about having to go in and cancel it or any payment coming out. You can then click that yellow play game button, which I clicked on the teacher screen, go into Phonics Shed, and you can have a good click around at what is available. Now, don't worry too much that you've got access to everything here, because when you set work for a child, you can set them the option of just seeing the work that you have set. So if they are just beginning their phonics journey, for example, you won't want them to have access to the whole of the Phonics Shed garden. But that is fine, you can limit that. You can also have a look at some of the books that we've got here, our decodable reading books, which you can then click on. If you'd like any more information or have any more questions, please email support@edshed.com. Thanks so much for watching.